Let's go. Actually, I keep saying let's grow all the time. Welcome, guys, and this is going to be another fantastic episode because you guys are already implementing it, and some of the things we will just let other DePIN founders know, let our community know how gamification works as well. As there is a lot of thought process going behind, right? What's the main challenge? The main challenge always is, you know, we have community. We want them to give a service. So we get into this chicken comes first or egg comes first scenario, right? So we have infrastructure we need somehow, but we don't have devs or the contributors. So the bridge between these two has to be gamification. As much as we can engage, then we expand our services, our visibility, and that's how we get the system running, right? So in this gamification world, there is just too many things to be implemented. Some we have inherited from the Web 2 style, and some Web 3 has actually bettered it, right? In terms of incentivization. So we would like to hear today from all of you. So welcome.
Thank you,
Whether
sir.
it is
Honored.
le- let me get Bitbinder. Yeah,
Sorry about that,
maybe
guys.
you have to switch the place, so it is now looks more so.
Universe is now balanced. Continue.
Right, so we have implemented point systems, we have done the batches, we have done NFTs when they were a bit popular, and now we are finding utility for NFTs. We have referral programs, right? Quests, which is now some of the platforms have gone really crazy, and these days yapping has come, and I find little uneasy to call myself yapper, so I don't yap. Right? But right, so there are so many things. So what are the things you think are common and should be common across most of the deep in projects in your experience, and why, if you can? So this is an open question, so anyone can take it.
Can I push it? Since we've already acknowledged that we're never all going to stay on the correct topic, can I like turn your question upside down 10 seconds after you ask it?
Please feel free.
I love it.
I apologize. One of the things that I think is so important, and that this has it's been something that I feel that this industry has lost. Okay. um because we used to have a very different sort of structure around how to engage the community, because people would show up, and this is in the very early days of crypto, right? 2014, 2015, 16, 17, 18, like pretty much up until maybe 2020, things happened this way, where people would voluntarily associate themselves with a project
Yeah.
and then look at the project and say, I love what you guys are doing. How can I help? And then they would join the community, and you, as a person running a project, your job was to essentially get out of the way to allow the people who were the most passionate to contribute the most. And it wasn't like, like I have the same problem with you, Yog, as far as like the yapping concept goes. Like I have a little bit of an idea of what the hell is going on there, but it scares me and I don't like it. Okay, because it's not based on actually creation. It's based on just like noise, literally noise. The noise to signal ratio in our industry has gotten so bad. And I think that part of it is because at the very beginning, people realized this gamification thing kind of worked. And so now everybody just does more of that and less of actual creation. And it's getting worse and worse and worse as time goes on. So, like, gamification can be great, it can be super powerful, but what I think is lost is the idea that you as a builder and you as a DePIN project are a servant to that community, and and what we can do working together is to get out of the way and incentivize the community in a proper way, not just by airdrops and not just by points and things like that, but to actually build and create. And social proof for me is always the best thing there. Being able to find somebody who's built something and praise them publicly and say, look, you've built something amazing, this is super cool, we're putting it in here, we're naming a thing after you, we're, you know, sticking your logo on our website. You know, those things are things that I think have a deeper meaning than, you know, how many yaps you get.
Well said, Jason.
So
Do we
sorry, I
need
didn't
to
mean to.
do we need to continue?
Sorry,
I
my
No, I
think
bad.
think we're
we
good.
already in the discussion.
I think we're done. This was great, guys.
We're done, right? But is it because, like, as you said, Jason, like, you know, from 2021, I would say what we're referring as community, and I don't want to sound harsh, is actually not a community in many of the project, right? For example, if you just look at, say, my project Farm Center, right? We actually think our community is completely different. They are not Web3 at all. Just imagine a bunch of farmers. We are we giving them tokens. Sometimes we give them food to distribute. They go door to door,
That's
find
great.
people to give them food. They barely know even the term Web2, Web3. They have used somewhat WhatsApp occasionally, right? That's their exposure to technology, and we consider them as our prime target audience, prime community. So we have a WhatsApp group.
Hmm.
10, 15 people are represented by a couple of guys. They share the pictures. This is what we did today. We put a lot of durian plantation, or we distributed food to this village, or we created a festival and we were wearing farms and t-shirts. Everybody were wearing farms and t-shirts, something like that, right? So are we losing the way? What Jason was saying. And now question goes to everybody else.
I guess I can come in here, and I want to give a little disclosure before I speak. I'm been part of Nodal since the beginning, as part of the executive team early on with Misha Benoliel and Garrett Kinsman, the co-founders. It's one of my largest private holdings in my portfolio company. So I'm not speaking as an executive now of Nodal, but as a believer in that tremendous ecosystem and what they've done and what they're accomplishing, and still never have or will sell any of my tokens. I believe it's amazing what they're building, and we're helping a lot of companies and people. But and back to what you just said, for everything that you're doing for farmers and food security, anything I can ever do to help or support you, please reach out to me. Between that and freshwater projects are really near and dear to everything that I do to ensure that that's something that we all have access to, and a basic human right should be food and water. So thank you for that. Um, Losing the way, I have to disagree that losing the way is not there for certain ones of us, because it's in our heart and soul and DNA to do things the way that we believe they should be done. But unfortunately, there's hype and other mechanisms that the communities around the world, our audiences around the world, miss amazing things like you're saying, because they're um, there's just other financial mechanisms to drown that out and point resources and eyeballs and support elsewhere, even though those things that marketing machines are driving attention to have no real value, no real sustainable value. And it actually hurts the entire industry that we're still creating. The stuff that I do and involved with, even with my public company, it's full transparency. It's spending the right resources and time and team members to show there's credibility here, there's tangibility, there's accountability. And it's a hard ass journey to do it that way. But I believe if you get one tremendous supporter at a time, and the right one, you hit that multiplier soon. But it's the right way to build a sustainable, true believing audience and ecosystem or supporters around the world that are your ride or dies, and not there for the financial reward. They're there because there's an emotional connection, there's some sort of novelty to them, and they really believe in you. Like, at the end of the day, they need to believe in the principles of these projects, and the principles of these projects need to be visual. Like, I love that you did a video call today. I think that's the right way to do things. There needs to be some sort of human connection, even if AI takes over the world, which I speak against a lot of that. There's always got to be a human connection between us. So again, building a community of 15 of you is amazing, right? Because then that 15 becomes 30, then it becomes 60, then it becomes 120, then it becomes 240, and it starts to really grow. But again, with the right people. So hopefully that is a good extension to what you dropped there, Jason, as far as what we're talking about. Awesome, 2 thumbs up. Damn, and I'm tired. That's fantastic.
Pedro wants to add something. No, we can't hear you. You can turn back. Daniel, you want to add to that?
Everybody,
Hey,
everybody,
guys.
even if Pedro starts talking, pretend like you can't hear him. It'll
Yeah.
be really funny.
That'll be
Just,
great.
you know.
Let's do it.
But he's hearing us anyway. Probably you can just Okay, cool.
We lost him.
Hey guys,
Daniel, you
how are
guys
you?
have done I think in one of project I have observed for last couple of years, you guys have pretty much done most of the gamification, right? So this is really apt that this question should go to you guys.
Yeah. Look, guys, let me introduce myself quickly. So I'm the CMO at Silencio. I've been in the company for about a year, but I've been working in Web3 companies for over 9, I would say, between on-chain data to interoperability protocols and so on. And now I'm fully focused on DePIN and AI. Yeah, look, gamify is a good concept, right? And what you were saying about farmers and yaps, I fully agree with what you're saying, Jason. Look, if you think about it from the standpoint of Silencio, right? So I think that the first thing that we gamified was the act of the noise data collection, right? Because it's the fundamental action that we have, and it's what is built in the decentralized network. And we really try to align, everything that we do with our mission. Of course, there's always going to be, farmers and so on, but we focus on, giving rewards to the people that are actually bringing value to the network, right? We take very seriously the act of the cheaters. We encourage, initial and sustained participation. So yeah, as you said, we have done a little bit of everything. Right now, the users earn tokens, and what we have that is called the Deep in Lock raffles. So it's like a monthly giveaways that we do. Of course, we need to continue growing the network and making the data more reliable, right? So we always think on new ways to incentivize the user. But I think that we are trying to build products that we put that data into use. And this week we launched our Chrome extension, for example, in which the 1.1 million users that we have and all the data that they were collecting, now you can use it to actually connect into Booking.com or Airbnb or Expedia and all of those websites and actually put it into use. So yeah, I think it's a mix of what you're saying, but yeah, we really try to stay to our core fundamentals and incentivize the user to act correctly, and at the same time we continue to grow the community. If that makes sense.
That's great. Great job, Daniel.
Yeah, it does. Actually, one of the best implementation of Silencio, what I noticed is the fact that you can find the contribution of data useful to you before you contribute to the community, right? So early days of Silencio, when I would be just checking into a hotel, I say, let's check what's the noise level here, right? You say, hey, it's
Yeah.
not that bad, submit it, right? Maybe somebody will find it useful. So that's
Yeah.
one of the interesting aspects that you find immediately useful. We almost took that from your book, but in a sensor way. that the farmer should first find what's useful from the soil sensor and then contribute that data. They don't know that that data is going to be massive for AI later to predict the crops. But for the time being, they think that they are measuring their soil in their field. They have no idea that this is going to be a massive contribution later. So something like that, but it's not as mass as Silencio with the device integration. Of course, it's like too many devices are available, and smartphones are becoming real smart these days, right? um, cool. Pedro, you back?
No,
uh,
this
uh,
is sorry, pal. We
well,
can't hear you.
And I'm serious. We actually can't hear you. It's not. We're not all
no,
just
no, no.
pretending.
Yeah, we are not pretending. Yeah, no, no, no. Actually, we can't. Yeah,
To add to some of the things Daniel said, one of the things I loved about Nodal was the season management too. Like with Misha and his background, a part of Fire Chat, right? Building the first peer-to-peer messaging app, building a community, a parallel network that didn't rely on cellular or Wi-Fi connectivity. It's the real Pied Piper if you ever watch that show on TV. And so having that experience, and then what I brought to the table and the rest of the amazing team, and understanding how do you bring people what they want without friction, right? And seamless. Nodal's grown to be technically the world's largest wireless network without deploying a single Wi-Fi station or cell tower. And it was adapting this really easy way to reward the community by installing the Nodal Cash app. Introducing the Nodal Cash SDK to app partners was the initial strategy to get adoption. And it was a simple reward mechanism where you earn a Nodal Cash cryptocurrency by allowing the company to use your device as a gateway to collect a little packet of data, Bluetooth sensors and IoT devices around the world that never had a global reliant network to be able to bring that data to. And it's completely privacy focused. So going into the mission of you own your data, you should monetize your data how you like, really connected very well with the world, especially at a time where people realized they were being exploited, and we still are, everything we do in our life. Like we're being led to buy certain things. We're being led to receive certain content based upon our interactions, where we shop, who we communicate with. We're just monitored 24/7. So when you saw companies like Nodal, completely privacy focused, you have the ability to earn Nodal Cash, which hopefully, the initial idea was earn enough to pay for your data connection and earn enough to pay your cell or your wireless bill. And then the community just loved the easy Pokemon Go type of style. If you download the Nodal Cash app, for example, you just light it up and you start collecting Nodal Cash because there's hundreds or dozens or thousands of IoT devices around you, depending on where you're walking. And it's just bing, 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 bing. And you're actually see in real time you're earning, and you're doing nothing, and we're not exploiting you, and the company's not reselling your data or taking advantage of you or trying to manipulate you in any way. So when you build that just based off of, now there's 1.3 million nodal token holders around the world. It was when it was in Polkadot, it was the largest ecosystem of transactions and communications and connectivity. So the foundation's there, and now it gets really fun as you build a global wireless network. You're connecting all these community members around the world. They're earning. You proved out the foundation of it. Now it's building and creating more ways for the Nodal Cash owners to earn, more ways for the company to create more value and opportunities for people, whether it's asset tracking or things like the Click Camera app, for example. Nodal rolled out amazing technology to prove and identify with Nodal's blockchain and technology and the network. That picture or video is actually real because it was taken by this device. It was confirmed by all these other devices that somebody actually took that, and it verifies a piece of content that we as consumers say, oh, that's real. I'm not being lied to. I'm not being manipulated. It's not AI. So then companies like Adobe, they partnered with, that really identified that that's a very valuable piece of technology to be able to show that, yeah, we've confirmed by all these different authenticators that that's a real piece of content. And then that can carry into news outlets and all the different types of agencies. So it's building upon what you set out to initially build and create that community and that tech stack to really build what is the future of companies like ours, or obviously what you guys are doing as well.
That's brilliant. If you have to start today, would you do anything differently?
Is that for the community to answer that? See, my
Yeah.
answer to that is I never say I would ever do anything different because every learning experience was very valuable to where I am today. So, and anybody can Monday morning quarterback, but I proudly wear all my ass kickings and all my companies and everything that I've accomplished because it's allowed me to be a survivor and understand there's always a solution. So no, I wouldn't. But if it's just a financial answer, obviously you go back in time and you say I would do this differently, and you'd have a much more financial gain. But does that mean you've learned anything or you've evolved as a human being?
Yeah, don't know.
Okay.
That's one of the bad answers, actually.
You guys can hear me?
He's
No,
back,
no.
ladies and gentlemen.
Jesus, let's go. Technology. Technology.
Oh
Okay.
man, my entire office is about technology.
We're hearing some background noise,
Oh,
by the
you're
way.
hearing some background noise?
Yeah, you may have to
No,
mute when you're not speaking.
Okay, I'm sorry, guys. Yeah, but I had to change to the MacBook because apparently the desktop was not working well. Let me see if it helps if I do. Is it better like this? No? Is it the same?
It depends
Well,
on. It only happens when we're talking.
Oh,
As
okay.
long as
no, I think you're good.
I think we're good now.
Okay. So, yeah, this is going to be weird because I wanted to catch up with Jason and Brian at the same time. So now we moved
All
along
right.
a little bit. But regarding on what Jason was saying right at the beginning and catching up with Brian also, I think there are three main factors right now that I'm always talking with the guys at DePIN because they can see me as a user, but also as a worker, right? But I'm new to the space. I've been only here for 3 years now. So I started as a basic user, right? For example, Silencio was one of the first apps that I got introduced to. So, hey, Daniel, I know you and I
I'm glad to hear that.
know.
You can
Yeah,
continue now.
yeah. But yeah, the three things that I want to talk about catching up with Brian and Jason was first of all, nowadays people have fish brains. It's something that I always talk about. Like
But
people,
what fish? That's an important question. There's a
I
lot of smart
know,
ones out there.
I know, but nowadays it's very hard to explain something to someone if it takes more than 20 seconds. Like it's impossible. Even if you are in a normal conversation, if the subject that you're talking about is not so easy to understand or something like that to a random person, they will not get interested in it. Even if you
I
do that,
fully agree with what you're saying, and I think AI has a big part into it as well.
yeah, yeah.
M-
And
Maybe
also
our conversation have become like short elevator pitches.
exactly. And then you have like TikTok and you have Instagram. And nowadays, for example, I used to watch a lot of YouTube when I was a kid. And I now see my little cousins and all of that they don't watch videos longer than 10 minutes, not even longer than 2 minutes. They only watch short videos. And this is spreading across all type of people, right? Like you have the young folks, but now the old guys are also doing the same. So we need to produce fast content for people who don't want to learn, but they want to learn. And then you have people that are actually interested in the technology. And then you have people that think that it's a meme coin and they are going to be rich if they install an app. So it's a very hard uh, scale to balance here. So like the other day I was trying to figure out what is the best way to sit down the average Jane and Joe and be like, let me explain to you what is DePIN and the whole universe that's around DePIN. And that's why I came up with the Lego example, because I think it's very easy to understand. Like everybody has Lego pieces. Imagine DePIN as a huge Lego city, and everyone
Just
brings their
plug
own
in.
pieces. So Silencio,
That's
for
great.
example, brings noise and AI, right? And then you have Nodal that brings data also. So if we combine all of these factors together, we build a huge
Yeah.
decentralized city. But of course, for me, this makes sense because I had a lot of people teaching me what is DePIN and what are the main objectives here. But for the common folks, like it's 5 seconds. You only have 5 seconds. Hello, I'm Pedro, and I already lost them. It's very hard, guys. Jason was talking about being passionate about the project and all of that. The issue here is now we're getting the normal people from Web 2 coming to Web 3 because Web 3 is becoming bigger every day, right? So you get the people that are not here for the technology, are not here to make the world go to a better place. They are here to make money. And this is the big issue because you need to you're trying to build a community around passion and let's make this go forward. And then you have like the other half of the community, like when token, when launch, when TGE, when can you make some loot boxes and all of that. So it's very hard to actually comply with all of those demands. And you're going crazy if you try to do all of them. Like, just give up. There's no point on that.
No. And then you have
I
institutions
agree.
now. Sorry, go ahead.
No, no, no.
I was going to say,
Dude,
you also now have institutions coming behind these things. You have digital asset treasuries being created, and then you have the financial manipulation of these KOLs or these influencers now being paid to share with you what they want you to buy, right? So that it's no longer a genuine connection. It's more about a financial manipulation. But also the value prop in that is real community members. What I've learned, and I've built a lot of companies, I've built a lot of brands. I've never seen the loyalty and dedication that I've seen in token holders or Web3 projects. These people will sit behind their computer or the device 24/7, and they're there with you in the trenches. They're your warriors. I've never seen a brand be able to do that in Web 2, Web 1, Web 0, wherever. I never seen that. It's very close to old war where people really believed in their kingdom and their kings and rulers, and they went and fought because they believed that it was the right thing to do for their people. That's the only thing I can compare it to in history. Is that's the type of dedication and connection you have. So the more of these bullshit people that are just pumping things actually brings more value to the community members that are smart enough to know that that's not real. They don't really believe in that. They're just pumping and touting things. I like what this group is doing because they're really dedicated to their community and they're building correctly.
I agree what you're saying, Brian, but I do have to say that the space have changed so much over the past 3 years. Like right now, the attention span is so short, and people move from one token to the other, and that commitment that you were saying that we used to see before, now really forming that community is a lot harder. And
Yeah.
that there's as you said that there's so many misalignment in token incentives, and so many rocks, and the everything that happened with KOLs, that right now nobody is working for the backs, or it's just there's a financial incentive that is moving them instead of connecting with the real audience. And that's the challenge that we have in as well in deep in projects.
Yeah.
Because at the end you also want to catch, or the way that you see it is that this is the real connection with Web 2, right?
Yeah.
Because we're building real applications that people want to see. But at the same time, you need these people that are going to help you grow the project.
I agree, and in the past, I did a talk about 2 years ago, and I talked about that cannibalization, right? Like you're talking about moving from one token to the other, and what does that really do for the market? But I honestly think people are leaving today, if they're leaving a project based upon the work that I do around the world, people are hurting. They need money. Credit card debt's at an all-time high. People are behind on their mortgage or car payments. I don't necessarily believe that 100% of them are just bouncing from one token to another. If they're selling and leaving, I believe they have bills to pay. And that's another leverage asset that they have, that they can at least create some fiat currency and pay their bills. So that's what I think is happening around the world. And then and things like inflation, like there's a lot of people hurting around the world. And if they have any access to make something liquid, I think that is what you're seeing more about any type of person leaving. I don't think they really want to leave something they believe in. I think they're being forced to because of financial stresses.
I agree with Brent. Actually, I did a small survey. We have an FNF group, 180 odd individuals, and I did a small survey. And this is like personally DMing them and asking if the reward will be in stable coin, would you prefer than than any other token? 85% stable coin,
Yeah.
right? And I think when Bran was speaking, I could correlate with this, that
Yeah.
if we could somehow give, because there are a lot of people who are in financial stress, so we can't blame them. But I have also seen the other side, right? There are some XRP wells I met, and they just know everything about Ripple, what's going on, which partnership signed, like probably some of the Ripple executive might not know, you know, that much information they know just because they hold the tokens. And
Yeah.
they were convincing me, they're showing me this is the partnership, this is the guy, you should reach out that guy in contacts. Like, wow, this is like true community, right? Maybe they were, because of this, sometimes if something adversity happens to some project, then people come together. Maybe that
Yeah.
happened to Ripple. But I have also seen that with some of the community, like some not so successful or visibly successful community, like in Theta, I have seen some hardcore Theta fans, you know. And same goes with many projects, like so I think it is, let's assume that every community, every project has maybe 10 to 15% of community members that would like to stay, unless we do something really real horrible with that project, right? Let's assume that. And somebody told me, when I was just telling, like, nobody backs us, like nobody trusts our vision, right? I was getting a little frustrated, right? So one of my friends said, like, yo, you just need 300 people. You don't need
It's true.
50,000 people.
It's true.
You need 300 people. And so we changed that to focus on that 300 people. And now what we're doing for last 1 year, we're saying, can we bring projects and in our own little way make them visible, to get them to that 300 people, you know, so that everybody gets into their community of that 300 people, and that's it, right? So
This
that has been the that has been the strategy now.
That's a great focus, and then you feel accomplished when you hit that number, right? You don't feel defeated if you were trying to get 50,000 and you got 1,500. Psychologically, you feel like, well, that sucked, but that's the right way to do it. And one other thing I wanted to add to Daniel's point, it's about, I believe, people having some financial stresses, but I also have been talking about the wealth that was created for a very younger audience that were smart enough to buy these things, and they created some substantial gifts of wealth, much like the dot-com era. And the ones that were smart enough to keep their wealth and not waste it on Ferraris and nonsense and just flush that gift down the toilet, they're also getting older now. They love tokens, they love crypto, they love digital assets, and I think they're also going to be moving into more sophisticated instruments where it's still token, blockchain, and crypto focus, but it's backed by things like real world assets, things that we're talking about DLMI with my public company. It's, my vision of tokenization and building these reward mechanisms is into businesses that have real value and structure. And you're introducing a crypto component just built into the business model. Like, you take cash, you take wires, you take credit card. Now you have the tokenization model to allow 99% of the world to buy into something they never a chance to buy into, be part of a company or an asset that they never dreamed they could even be ownership of. Even if it was 50 cents, they still have their line on them of being attached to something, and then actually being able to earn from it. So I think as you start to see the trillions that are in crypto and meme tokens and all this, amazingly interesting world, are going to evolve and get older and look for things that are still crypto focused, but have really good seasoned management projects and assets that they're being able to be attached to.
Jason is itching to add to that.
No, I 100% agree. I think that there's I've always been a very, very deep community guy. Previously at my last position, community was pretty much my sole focus. And for me, you have to take care of the community. You have to take care of the community before anything else, because if you have a community that believes in the vision that you're working towards, it becomes more than your vision. Okay, it's our vision. We're building this together. It's not me. I'm not important. I just happen to be, a dude with orange glasses and access to, a somewhat unreliable internet connection that says things publicly sometimes. But I'm no more important
Jason,
to anything that we're
no.
building than any of the individual
He
community
literally
members.
That's
said,
amazing what he said. Limited internet.
I'm not important. But
Oh,
I have to extend what Jason said, right? We were asking some of these users, why are you talking about farms, and to most of these farmers and those policymakers, right? And I haven't incentivized them at all, but they just believe in that food security is important. So we will go and we'll do. So it's not my problem.
but I think you are incentivizing them by giving them a voice and an outlet to communicate with someone that cares. So I think you
Yeah, that's
are
yeah, that's for sure.
emotionally.
You're incentivized, but with your mission, which is
Yes.
okay.
Right.
Which is
And
what
so
we try to do as well.
when they go and speak to the policymakers, and I sometimes feel when I looked at, like, so what was the discussion, and I get the report, right? I sometimes feel they presented way better than I would have. And that gives me like a lot of happiness that here are some of the people, they took the idea, but they are doing way better than I would have done it.
That's cool.
That's
Yeah,
such
that's really cool.
right? So, and that's been happening. So the other day, one of our farmer was explaining about crypto wallet to another farmer who's not exposed to anything. So he's asking, but how it can transfer from here to there? It's too far. Like, so how you give me this token, but he's in Dubai? It's too far. How this money came? And so I didn't answer anything. I was just smiling and said, let's say how he explains. So the way he was explaining is so magical. It's like, hey, yeah, internet
Oh,
connectivity
I mean, it was
back.
right when you said you don't have a good internet connection. It just dropped.
Oh my god. Okay, I'm back. I apologize, guys. It's
No worries.
absolutely killing me here. I don't. It's only been for the last couple days. It's just nuking every freaking conversation. So the point that I was trying to make before it cut out and just left to everybody, just me probably, frozen picking my nose or something like that. Is that when you talk about those 300 people, okay, that's really important because yes.
he froze again.
How important is it? We're just talking over
You need
here.
to have those
Cliffhanger
300 people,
after
but the thing that you
cliffhanger.
have to remember
Is back.
Okay. You have those 300 people.
Go. Stop saying that. Just go.
You've got your 300 people, but each of those 300 people has their own 300 people as
Yes.
well.
Yeah.
And that's the critical thing is that you have to share that vision with them. They have to believe in that vision, and then they share it with the rest of their world. And that's where you have these amazing communities that get built. When I travel, it doesn't matter where I go. Give me 3 days notice and I'll have 100 people in a pizza parlor having pizza and beer, talking about DePIN, talking about gaming, talking about crypto. And it's just the most beautiful environment where everyone can come together and really create something. And that's what we have to be building here. I'm going to shut up because I got my message out. And it's
Jason, quick question on that. When you say that, do you have to spend time to an extent educating and getting their belief, or should it be almost instantaneous that your messaging is so clear?
You have
No,
to spend time.
it's a process. Of course.
Yeah, it's absolutely a process. It doesn't matter how clear your messaging is, because nobody's going to see your messaging. You can write as many things as you want, post as many things as you want in Discord, pin as many messages. If it's over 3 words long, people are going to completely totally ignore it, and you're going to be stuck you know
I can
explaining it
confirm
again.
that. Yes. Yep.
I
Hey,
mean, like,
no wonder my GM tweets are more engaging than any other content.
of course,
But
because
of course,
people,
of course.
yeah, they're like, oh, GM, oh, he said GM, I better say GM back, and then they get their goldfish
Yeah.
flippers out and they knock them on the keyboard a little bit. Yeah, it's ridiculous, but and I say that, but the reality is we've created this. Okay, we
Right.
as a technological society,
Hmm.
we've created this disaster of information. It's information overload, which leads you
Hmm.
to
Hmm.
ignore almost all information that you see. And yes, the advent of AI has made that
100%.
much worse. And so people have no focus because they have no way to know what the hell to focus on. So they don't focus on anything. And unless you like literally stick it in their face and say, hey, look at this, what do you think? And then you engage with them on a human level. And so the way that I handle this is, obviously there's marketing that happens and videos that happen and all of these things, but none of that matters anywhere near as much as, posting like, hey, I'm sitting in SFO at this bar, anyone want to come grab a drink? And then somebody shows up and you buy them a beer and some nachos and you explain what you're building and you're having a real human conversation with them, and they will be there forever because they understand why you're doing what you're doing. It's not just a token. It's not just a, tech stack. It's not just, this abstract thing. It is a labor of the heart of a person who
Yeah.
cares profoundly about what's being built. And because that person took the time to sit down with you and to explain to you as just another human being, why this matters, they're like, oh yeah, this totally matters because it matters to you and we matter to each other. Because obviously you don't buy a beer and nachos at an SFO bar for somebody that you don't give a shit about, right? You actually have to care to do that. Otherwise you sit there with your headphones on like everybody else, and those are the things that make the biggest difference.
Yeah. And on top of that, Jason, I think one of the things that you can actually see that the community really shines, it's when you solve little problems. Like every time they get a small bit of attention, like for example, we had some issues that people that do like basic errors of Web 2, like connect Google account, but not the same account to our website, and they're like, "Oh, it's not working!" Blah, blah, panic, panic, red button, explosion. And then we're like, "Hi, I hope you're good. Second of all, is this the same account?" Like small tweaks, small problems, and people feel seen, and that's the best way to get community nowadays. It's make people get seen instead of us trying to be seen by the community. It's the other way around. But these days, it's very hard to actually be seen because there's a lot of noise, right? Like, no pun intended, Daniel. We're talking about noise, but not that noise. Uh,
Yeah,
but
I
there's a
understand.
that's a there's a lot of noise. It's very hard to distinct, and we that are on the deep in space, like you guys know, there's a lot of new projects coming out every day. That this is AI, this is deep in. Everyone is deep in nowadays. Everyone uses AI, and then you go to the bottom of the white paper and you see nothing. There's nothing there. There's not a project there. It's only a scam for people to fall in.
Yeah, they're
So
they're able to make OpenAI API calls.
yeah, exactly.
When OpenAI API goes down, you know who are the real builders.
Exactly. Jason stopped at the right frame, clapping.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's a very valid point. Pedro was saying is that making the community members visible, because that's in a way putting their opinion at the forefront, so that you also take inspiration from what these guys are doing, and you're getting right feedback, because it's kind of also encouraging them to give feedback. End of the day, if we can get, people who can actually do quality assurance for us as a project, right, it's better.
Look,
Any
I think the answer is pretty simple.
Hey,
So
no drinking while driving. You didn't read the memo, I guess.
My bad. Ooh, so hot, so hot. What I miss? What I miss? Well, let me kiss
You
my
know that.
breath.
yeah, I was
Yeah, go ahead, Daniel.
no, I was gonna say that. Look, if you put it into simple words, the the community is your greatest asset, is your biggest asset, especially when you're building DePIN, right? If you
Yeah,
align it with your vision, they're gonna be with you. But if you in Silencio, it's pretty simple, right? If you don't have the people that are continuously uh, contributing to our data, we're nothing without them. So we always put it first, always, always, and we try to make them part of the team. And it's a process, and it's complicated, and they're not always going to be happy, but we are certainly doing our best, because again, without them, you're not going to do anything, and that's part of the game, right? Like, you do gamify it and you do incentives, but all of them, to align it with the mission that we're doing, right? In order to grow, and and make them part of the journey that we are going through. But yeah, that's how I see it.
yeah. And dark virus is just like covered of all those areas. Like, did you leave any space, dark virus, in Silencio?
A little bit, because I can't really run it while I'm driving. I mean, so but yeah, when I'm walking around for sure. But no, they have like this. He said community first. That's why you're gonna win. Number one, and number two. I mean, I've seen it from day one to what it is now. You guys made it like amazing and fun, and want to log in every day. You like gamified it. You made it easy way to stake. It's a beautiful platform, and I can only imagine what people would pay for this data. I mean, like, it's amazing. You're doing awesome. Anyway, back to you.
Thank you for that, by the way. It's amazing to hear it.
Yeah, no, it's very easy, Silencio, and also like that visible gamification, right, in the UX is very, very soothing, rewarding, right, for the users. Like that, I'm in the leaderboard. I have
It was
this.
like euphoric. It's euphoric. Have you opened up those boxes, yo? Those things are cool as heck. It's like they spin and it's like magical, and then a piece of ore opens up, and you're like, whoa, I just got, anywhere from like one to heck, I've had like 400 coins one time. It's really cool. I mean, it's awesome what they're doing.
Yeah,
Amazing.
that's a lot of from Thomas, our CEO. He spends a lot of time, thinking on how to improve the product, and how to make it better, how to make it more engaging. So yeah, uh, I think that since I joined, I see an evolution in the product that is quite incredible. Yeah.
Cool. We have a few minutes. So any parting thoughts before we close?
Yeah,
I
I
want to
don't
get to know
know.
Dark Virus better, because he seems like a fun dude. It's like some serious
Is
Hunter S. Thompson vibes here. I don't know. I don't know what's going on, but I feel like there's
I
there's
agree.
suspicious bottles in the back of whatever you're driving, sir.
I mean, I wouldn't be called Dark Virus if I didn't have my secrets, bruh. No, 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 you guys are, you guys are doing amazing. Like you said, you can't make everybody happy in the community, and you will kill yourself if you try to. You will kill yourself literally. And I know, founders and stuff want to make everybody happy and stuff. But when it comes down to it, at the end of the day, it's a business. So you and then what you're doing with your community, it's a bunch of degens. So if you don't keep your content, kind of like Fortnite stuck around for all those years because, they keep it exciting, keep the content coming. So yeah, that's my parting thoughts. And I love you. And I'm sorry I was late again, like always.
Nobody's at all.
Love you guys.
Right back at you. From my standpoint, great to speak with you all today. It was an honor and privilege. So thank you for the invite and hell of a conversation.
Amazing.
Thank you so much, guys.
Thank you for sharing your thought, because it's, you guys are really building and at the same time giving a lot of food for thoughts for other guys who are building, because it's sometimes for the new founders, it's really like the space has grown so much that it sometimes feel a bit out of space, right? So that's good. Pedro.
Thank you.
I want to thank you guys all. I was already familiar with the projects, right? Because DePIN it's kind of different. We are not a DePIN project, but we are all over the DePIN space. So if you already know that you can reach out to us. You already know Daniel, probably the most well-known man in the DePIN space. But yeah, if you want to do something, we are here to help everybody in the DePIN community.
Yeah,
Uh, and it
of
was
course.
great to talk to you guys. So I hope that the gamification continues, because we didn't reach that topic like that much times, but it does make a difference. And Nodal also has a very cool UI. I also use it. It's it's just in my tablet, down in the bedroom, standing there.
And I must say, beautiful brand.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
beautiful.
your kudos to all of you guys. Like, you're all doing an amazing job, and I'm happy that we still have true founders and true DePIN projects going around and building the tomorrow. So thank you so much, guys, and it was nice to meet you all.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, I mean, I can continue. Just thank you guys for the conversation. It has been really great meeting you and talking to you all. I think that we're just starting, right? The journey is long, but the journey is exciting. And happy to collaborate with any of you guys, and my doors are always open. So thank you very much for this.
Thank you,
Thank you,
sir.
Dan.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate it. I would give a longer message, but I know my internet will die the second I try, so I'm not going to waste everyone's time.
Sounds good. I'll
Thank
see you
you
at a
so
pizza
much.
meetup soon, Jason. Don't forget to invite me.
Thank you, guys. Thank you so much. I look forward to meeting you again. This is going to be another topic, but you guys so wonderful. Thank you so much.
Thanks, guys. Keep up the great work.
Take care. Bye
Thanks,
bye.
you.